Hey, this is Brian. Welcome back to the High Impact Vlogs channel. I promised you in yesterday's video that we would talk about this female Connecticut state trooper who was fired from her job and why she was fired. But before that, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who posted a kind comment on my first video in over 5 years on this channel. As some of you know, maybe not all of you, but some of you know that my channel was terminated. It was down for 5 years, and then out of the blue on the 9th or 10th, I can't determine exactly which date, but YouTube decided to put it back on. And I want to just thank you for, there were a lot of comments right here. So far, 889 comments, most of which, if not all of them, are absolutely positive and, you know, pretty humbling, to be honest with you. So I appreciate that. Let's get into today's video. This is a state trooper who was drunk, who crashed her car twice into the same vehicle and then lied about it. And she ended up being fired. But even when the law enforcement agency does right, they don't take it far enough, because thin blue line gang members, and I call them that because it's rules for thee and not for me from their perspective, and they're given blanket qualified immunity wherever they go, pretty much no matter what they do. We've seen them tase pets. We've seen them rough people up, abuse their power. We've even seen cops kill people in broad daylight on camera, and as is the case with Daniel Shaver at the hands of Philip Brailsford. Philip Brailsford was acquitted, even though we can see everything on body cam. Daniel Shaver was innocent. He didn't have a chance. So here's an example of how qualified immunity still works even when the cop is terminated for doing what she did. And a lot of people are saying, welcome to New York or Vermont or Massachusetts new trooper, because she doesn't lose her credentials. She just gets fired from the Connecticut State Police. Let's take a look at this.
You now to an NBC Connecticut Investigates exclusive. We first told you about a former Connecticut state trooper who was fired after an internal investigation.
Now she has been decertified. That means she cannot serve as a law enforcement officer in Connecticut.
Only in Connecticut. Only in Connecticut.
Amber Diaz is here with what happened here. Amber.
Hey, Mike Keisha, we've been following this case since 2022. Catherine Keppel did show up for this morning's hearing, but left when she saw our camera.
She was absolutely certain and texted and communicated with absolute certainty that she hit a deer to all of her supervisors that night.
This is the hearing that officially ended Catherine Keppel's career in law enforcement after crashing into a vehicle, but reporting it as hitting a deer. She was fired after an internal investigation into that crash in 2022. On the night of July 24th, then Sergeant Keppel was off duty in her state-issued vehicle.
Look at the damage to this vehicle right here. She struck this vehicle twice and then tells all of her supervisors that she hit a deer. And how can you blame her for lying when she was groomed in a culture of lies and deceit and entrapment? Because that's what we know, that cops are trained to lie so that they can extract information out of you. That's why most lawyers worth their salt will tell you never talk to police. Always request your attorney. The more you talk, the more they're building a file on you, and they will use those words, your words, against you and never for you. They will never be used for your benefit, only be stacked against you to your detriment.
Call.
So I just hit a deer on Route 7 North.
Okay.
I'm good. I drove home, but I just want to report the damage.
State police also got a call from a woman who reported she was rear-ended twice in the same area, and the other driver took off.
She said that night I knew I was in trouble.
She was so drunk that she hit the lady twice. She destroyed her car, but she contends that she just hit a deer. She's just a liar. And if she's going to lie like this, and you know what troopers are, primarily they're just revenue generators. It's not about traffic safety. It's not about public safety or roadway safety. It is about controlling you and extracting money from you. So they're revenue generators, so they're incentivized to generate that revenue. So if she's going to lie like this, how many other things has she lied about? How many other people has she lied about? How many innocent people are sitting in jail right now or have criminal records because of this lying trooper? All of her records and all of her traffic stops and all of her police interactions need to be investigated. And we need to see what else she lied about.
Camera footage from that night shows troopers knocking on Keppel's door. There's no answer. The damaged Dodge Charger is in the driveway. 3 days later, Keppel was issued a summons for misdemeanor charges of evading and following too closely. Those charges were dismissed after Keppel completed a diversionary program for first-time offenders.
In this case,
her attorney, Jean Zingaro, said Thursday that Keppel knows she made a mistake, but never lied during the internal investigation.
when presented with the correct information, has never once said under oath that she believed that this was an animal strike.
He also explained why she left before the hearing started.
She wanted the board to hear. She wanted the board to hear her. Unfortunately, she just started a new job and feels that being on NBC tonight is not going to help her keep her new job.
That just seems like such BS. She must not have been very well liked in her department, because if she was well liked, I don't think she would have been terminated. And yet, even with the termination, there were no criminal charges filed against this trooper liar.
And so she's opted not to appear before the board.
After the hearing, Zingaro told us both he and his client are disappointed by the outcome.
She accepts the termination, but was hoping that she would be free to at least seek other law enforcement opportunities, as it's all she ever wanted to do.
I have no doubt that she will have plenty of law enforcement opportunities, because as we've seen, and as is the reality, cops in some states know a lot of cops in other states. They know police chiefs, they know sheriffs, they know other deputies, so they can put in a good word as part of the Thin Blue Line crew. If you're a Thin Blue Line gang member in New York and you know Thin Blue Line gang members in Los Angeles, you can put in a good word and that department will probably snatch you up, because especially with her being a trooper, she's already trained to be a trooper. She knows how to be a trooper, and it would be nothing for another state to pick her up and offer her employment. She could go east to Rhode Island. She could go north toward Massachusetts. She could go west toward New York. Maybe a police department in Pennsylvania or New Jersey would pick her up, but she hasn't lost all of her certifications. She just, as they claim, can't be a cop in Connecticut. But we've also seen that change before. We've seen cops that were terminated and then hired back, and then after they're hired back, they're given promotions. It's really disgusting to see. And when they said something to the effect of she doesn't want her past to affect her future, well, guess what? Welcome to the real world, where none of us have that qualified immunity. If we make mistakes in the past, it definitely many times affects our future, but that's not supposed to apply to law enforcement officers.
Declined our request for a copy of the statement she planned to make. The board said that Keppel's conduct undermined confidence in law enforcement.
Can't you apply that to every single police officer? Well, your lies, your continued false reporting, your willingness to abuse the public really undermines what we're trying to do here in this law enforcement facility. And let me just quickly point out some inconsistency and hypocrisy here. They're going to fire her for getting into an accident, but they aren't going to fire Brian Fahey, Sergeant Brian Fahey, who is already retired with full benefits. They did not fire or do anything to punish Brian Fahey for doing this to Sean Paul Reyes from Long Island Audit.
You spit in my face!
Don't block the door.
No one's scared of you, Sergeant.
I didn't say you were. Don't block the door. Don't block the door. Don't block the door. Don't block the door. Don't block the door.
Yeah, I'm not scared of you.
Don't block the door.
Do what you gotta do.
Don't block the door.
It's crazy that any law enforcement agency would continue to let a psychopath like this threaten and terrorize members of the public, as at the same time they fire people like this for lying to a police department that trained them to lie to the public. Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comments section below. Share this video with everyone you know, and I will see you in the next one.